Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. This one's going to be a short little one on how to kill punks, as well as the new stuff that they have relative to other Titans. These guys were introduced last update and they've been serving up trouble for a lot of people, including myself, so this isn't going to be a perfect way to kill punks, but it is going to be an easy and a fast way, hopefully for you guys. And so yeah, this should be pretty fun. I know that whenever I see these guys, I always think this is going to be a challenge and it's going to be interesting. So yeah, hopefully you guys feel the same way by the time the video is over. The first thing is that you can easily differentiate the punks from other Titans because of how they look, which is good because these guys are far more difficult, and if they were exactly the same as regular Titans, then it'd just be living hell because you kind of think they were normal Titans and then suddenly they start doing crazy stuff that I'm going to go into very shortly. And so yeah, you'll be dying over and over and over again. So there are very visible ways to differentiate them. The first is their hairstyle. They all have mohawks, and they're all like Technicolor mohawks. You know, there's green one, there's a yellow one, there's a blue one, I think. I'm not really sure, but yeah, you get the idea. They're not regular colors. It's very distinct, and you can easily tell just by the hair whether it's a punk or not. But that's not the only thing. There's also running posture. As you guys know, the regular aberrants all have a very strange running posture that is taken from a particular scene in the anime where the Titan that they're chasing down is running in a very stupid manner indeed. So those are the normal aberrants, but the punks kind of sprint in a very athletic manner. Sometimes I call them Olympic athletes just because they have that kind of very distinct posture that actually mimics humans when they're sprinting. So that's the second thing that really differentiate punks from other things. So whenever you see those two particular traits, that's when you really have to start being careful of their special attacks. So what are these special attacks? Well, a lot of the attacks are actually the same from regular aberrants. They don't jump, thankfully, they just run. They also do the windmill attack, except it's a bit different in that they only do the first two attacks and they don't do the ground pound. And this makes them so much more agile because a lot of the downtime in the windmill attack comes from the ground pound and the Titan recovering from that and actually going back to its standing position. Now that that's not there, killing the Titan right after it comes out of windmill is no longer an option. And if you try that, then often you'll just be killed immediately using a second windmill attack or some of the punk's newer unique attacks. So let's go into those. The first unique attack that the punk has is what I call a slap. Now basically what it does is it kind of leans to the side, which is huge because sometimes you'll try and hook to it and it'll lean to the side and you'll completely miss your hooks. So that's really dangerous, especially if you're flying straight at the punk. And then what it does is it does a big swipe with its hand that has a huge range. You know, I've been killed when I'm like nowhere near the Titan at all, and it kind of reminds me of the Colossal Titan sweep at the top of the wall. And there are both left and right versions, so there's no like safe angle to come at the Titan from. It's just you have to be really careful when you're coming at the punk from the front or the side, because you know that slap has a huge range and it does kill you really easily. The next attack, and perhaps the most infamous one in the entire game, is the boulder throw, and this thing has a huge range, which means that even if you're nowhere near the punk, it can snipe you down with like this random boulder that it picks up from the ground. And you know, these boulders are actually pretty huge, so even if you do manage to like gas burst out of the way, sometimes it won't be enough and you'll still get a boulder to the face, and that can hurt. And so because of that, I personally recommend that if you see a punk in the game, go straight towards it, because if you ignore it and it aggroes you and it throws a boulder at you while you're not looking, the chances are you're pretty much dead within the next 3 seconds. So just go straight for the punk, try to kill it. If you fail, then you know, that's okay, you can just try again. But that boulder throw is just not worth ignoring the punk for. The only redeeming feature about the boulder throw is that it can stun other Titans if that particular Titan gets in the way of the boulder and you. So it doesn't like go through the Titan or anything like that. It actually causes the Titan to be stunned, and it does the sitting down animation, which means now that that Titan is completely open to be killed. So that's a really cool addition. And the thing about this addition is that if you're really lucky and the punk is like standing in front of a tree, if it tries to throw a boulder and it hits that tree that's right in front of it, if it's close enough to the tree, it can actually stun itself, which then means that it is completely open for killing, and you know, it's a really easy punk kill for the lucky player. But you know, that's a really lucky way to kill the Titan, and honestly I wouldn't recommend counting on it, just because you'd have to spend so much time setting it up that it just wouldn't be worth it. Another thing that I find really interesting about punks is that they actually have this really unique 180-degree turn that no other Titan has. Basically, they do like a complete sweep of the floor around them, and it just makes you turn the other way. So even if you're like behind the Titan, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do a back attack, it does like this big sweep that causes it to turn the other way entirely, which is a huge increase in range from other Titans and makes them so much more dangerous in my opinion. The final new thing that punks do is not an attack, but instead it's a pose, and I personally call it the Shinji Ikari pose, because basically he starts cowering in fear and acting like a general pussy, the way Shinji Ikari does in the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion. Now this pose is really annoying, because what he does is he covers the nape and then he crouches, which means that you can no longer attack either the nape hit point or the hit point at the back of the knees. But you can still hit the eyes, which means that it can be blinded. It's just that it looks down, so the angle's kind of weird. But if you can be careful about that and you get it in time, you can in fact blind the punk while he's in the Shinji Ikari pose, which then leaves him much more open and much more liable to be killed. And that in fact is probably the easiest way to kill a punk overall. You know, just reel into their eyes and blind them, and if you need extra time, then you can then use the time that you get from blinding him in order to go for the back of the knees, and from then when he's sitting down you can then go around to the nape and kill him. So yeah, blinding is really awesome against punks. Just be careful though, because if you let him come out of that blind, then he does the windmill attack just like any other Titan, but then again the windmill attack doesn't have the ground pound, so it doesn't have that downtime right at the end where he's still standing up. So you have to be really careful about that he doesn't try grabbing you, that he doesn't try slapping you, anything like that. Now with that being said, it's still not a very efficient way to kill them. You know, blinding them and then going around to the nape, or you know, blinding them and going around to the knees and then going back to the nape takes a long time and isn't that efficient. And you know, sometimes you'll be ambushed by other aberrants, sometimes jumpers, sometimes crawlers, or just normal Titans that just happen to do a windmill attack at the wrong time. You know, there's all these ways to be killed if you're not fast enough. So what I personally recommend is to stay far away from the punk, but within the 120 hooking range, which means that he doesn't do the Shinji pose, but you still can hook onto his nape as soon as you find an opening. And once you hooked onto the nape, just go for the blitz. You know, don't try and do anything stupid. Do not mess around with trying to get high damage, because honestly, if you get slapped accidentally as you try and reel in, that will just make things worse. And if he does the Shinji pose as you're trying to find a good angle, then you know, it just becomes more annoying. So yeah, that's honestly the fastest way to kill them. You know, just go for the blitz once you find an opening, before he does the Shinji pose, before he throws a boulder. And so yeah, that should be really good. One final note that I forgot to mention: if he throws a boulder at you, it's honestly best if you gas burst out of the way, or if you're already hooked onto something, then just reel, just get out of there. It's not worth being like, oh, I'll do some cool 3DMG stuff and try and kill him before he throws the boulder. No, that's just not worth the risk. Just get away from the boulder as fast as you can, and it should be much easier. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I have to say on punks. It's not a perfect method to kill the punks, but I mean, like, these guys are difficult. They're really difficult on hard and on normal. I won't even talk about abnormal because that's just silly. So yeah, hopefully this helped. Hopefully you guys understand punks a bit better and how to approach them and how to kill them when you encounter one. And with all that being said, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, share it with your friends and anyone else who you think will enjoy it or have something to learn from it. I'm sure killing punks isn't something that a lot of people have gotten used to yet, so be sure to share it with anyone who isn't confident with killing punks. Comment, ask questions. If you don't understand some of the words I use, then it's probably best if you watch the rest of the Killing Titans stuff, you know, number 7, number 8 and number 8.1, because I go much more into depth on the different techniques and stuff like that. But this is here so that you guys understand how to kill punks. And understand how these punks actually work in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, be sure to ask questions if you don't understand anything, and be sure to subscribe for more Attack on Titan tribute game content. I've got probably one more tutorials video that I want to do, and after that I'm going to do a new addition to the tutorial series called Extras, which is going to have like very small tidbits of knowledge. It's going to be like tricks and tips and stuff like that that will make you better at the game overall. But it's not anything particularly amazing or stuff that you need to know to be good at the game. It's just, well, extra stuff that will help you guys get better. So yeah, be sure to subscribe for all of that, and I will catch you guys next time with another video.